Hello everyone, and welcome to the Dice Commando YouTube channel. I'm Andrew, with you here as always. This is the Commando Cast, a video cast about all things Star Wars Destiny. This video and others like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. Please show your support with a like and subscribe, and be sure to hit the bell notification icon so you don't miss any new videos. If you want to get involved with the channel, consider becoming a channel member. There are many benefits to channel membership, including access to our Discord, exclusive deck tech and strategy videos, and the opportunity to help create channel content. I want to sincerely thank all our channel members, as I truly couldn't do this without your support. You guys rock. Go Commando.
Hello folks, welcome back to Dice Commando on the Commando Cast. Hope everyone's been enjoying their week. Happy Wednesday, and that's right, we are halfway through a reprint week here on Dice Commando. Today, we're diving into one of probably the more controversial ones, which is Battlefields. Hey folks, welcome back. Thanks for joining me for today's discussion on Battlefield. So I mentioned in the intro that this could be one of the more controversial ones, and I don't necessarily mean that in like an aggro, aggressive sense, right? But one of the ones where I think we're going to have a little more debate on. And it's interesting because Battlefields historically in Star Wars Destiny have been overall pretty binary, right? Now there's been some niche ones over the years, but overall they've been pretty binary in that it's either a really, really good battlefield and we see a ton of it, or we really don't ever see the play. And that's why we have to walk the fine line here, right? Again, part of the objective of doing this is to not have a Destiny's Greatest Hits album, but I'm not really sure how you do that from a Battlefield standpoint. Because again, if we're walking the line of like, could something ever do this better? Do we want something to ever do this better? And I think that's especially relevant with Battlefields is like, do we really want something that's better than this? It's really hard to not kind of fall into that Greatest Hits album because we've pretty consistently seen what does and doesn't work from a Battlefield standpoint, at least from my perspective, right? And we've even seen, like, there are some Battlefields that ARH have created that are pretty high on that curve, right? Like, remove a die to give 2 shields. That's pretty good, right? Like, probably would have been pretty big if it was several sets, if it was back in the FFG era, that might have been a very big Battlefield. So I'm just going to start going down my list and kind of talk through this. Now, you will notice something here, and obviously this makes sense, but a lot of these battlefields are the ones that we see in Destiny Smash. And again, it makes sense. The ones that functionally do something that have a specific objective. So my number one of my favorite battlefields of all time was Rebel War Room. All right, so this is, you can claim and resolve a die, and you can basically resolve it for free if it has a pay cost. I thought this was a really great battlefield, especially early on, because it kind of encouraged fast, and not necessarily fast play, right? Because fast play meant something different, especially back in like the Maz era. But what it did was it encouraged you to be in a position where you could get something out of your claim, right? So you would actually, in some cases, you would leave decisions on the board, or you would essentially give over control, let your opponent maybe get a couple actions that you normally wouldn't, because you would want to get that extra shot in. And I thought that the tactical play of Rebel War Room was really strong, so I would love to see this card kind of make its way back into the game. Next one, now this is a Convergence Battlefield, it's not on the list yet, technically, is Salt Flats. I think Salt Flats has been a great card for Star Wars Destiny, and I really can't envision Destiny without Salt Flats. It's also one of those things that feeds into the leader keyword, and as many of you may have noticed, like once Convergence actually rotates, we're actually going to have kind of a lack of stuff that actually helps leaders out. Right? Leaders for a long time has been one of the like major keywords in Star Wars Destiny. We're like, wow, he has leader, that's so valuable. And it's true, but it's actually decreasing, and it will decrease in value, at least currently. If Convergence block were to rotate tomorrow, I mean, leader would not carry as much of a keyword as probably like Sith does, or will, right? Something like that. All right, next is Rift Valley. Rift Valley, I think, was a really awesome battlefield because it's fit into a pretty specific build type, right? Mother Talzin, so Mother Talzin was not on my character reprint list. She was really, really close. I loved that whole like odds archetype thing. It was really fantastic. So I think that very realistically, we could have another like they could ARH could totally design like a bunch of characters and stuff around that odds thing in the future, and I think that Rift Valley can't really be done better. So I'd love to see that in there to kind of facilitate that in the future, because I think that was a really good design space, kind of sub design space, whatever you want to call it. Bendu's Lair. This one was just really creative as a battlefield with a die. Again, it was one of those, I saw most play, I think, with Rex overall. I know there's some other decks out there that played it, but it was one of those, like, the value of claiming is really, really high, but it's not necessarily like a gotcha type thing. Like, you still have to tactically play around it and be smart about it. So I'd love to see Bendu's get reprinted as well. Obi-Wan's Hut is also, it is where it is on this list, and I'm not necessarily going in order, but because Obi-Wan's Hut is actually very, very high on my list of stuff that should be reprinted. Not to mention the fact that it's in the 2-player set. But Obi-Wan's Hut was just kind of a key staple hero blue battlefield for a long time. And I think it could be done better, meaning more impactful, but I don't think it should be. So I would like to see Obi-Wan's Hut reprinted. Next one is Launch Deck. So this is the one where you remove a die to deal an indirect. So obviously now we can remove a die at any point to gain 2 shields. So maybe stuff is doing this better, but again, it's one of those things like, should it be, right? So I think Launch Deck would be a good one to bring back to kind of like re-baseline what the value on claimed battlefields is supposed to be. Another one's War-Torn Streets. This one's made its way into Smash, I believe, into Cassian, maybe another one. But it's another one of those, if I get ahead of you, I can try and strip something tactically out of your hand, because I can claim, and again, it's one of those tactical moves of, if I claim early, usually I leave you, maybe you can reroll or whatever, but now I could claim and maybe take your last card so you can't reroll. So even though I might have to claim earlier than I want, I can make sure that you're not getting the advantage of me claiming on you. So I think War-Torn Streets does a lot of really good stuff from that standpoint. And if you compare it to like the Command Center Lothal, it's not like quite as impactful from a mill. It's not quite as impactful because it's only 1 card. Now it's card from hand versus 2 from decks. There's certainly an argument there. But it also, War-Torn, like Command Center Lothal, you typically play in a mill deck. Whereas this card, you could very easily play this in a non-mill deck, something that's just trying to control, like a not really control, but more like a mill kill, or just something where you want to move a little faster and still have that negative effect on your opponent. So I really like this one as well. The next one, second to last one, is Bomar Monastery. Fantastic card that lets you not get punished as bad for having modifiers if you are able to kind of play it right. I think this one was really well done. I don't think that another card could do it better, and I'd love to see Bomar come back. Last one is Citadel Landing Zone. This one's just a fundamentally good card. It saw play in a lot of decks on kind of it was on one of those like, it's good for me, but if you get it, it's not the end of the world type battlefields. And sure, there could be tons of battlefields out there like that, but I think that keeping with what we have, helping keep the power curve down, or at least the power curve, whatever you want to call it, but going with what we have and what's worked and hasn't been impactful in the past, when something's not bad and it's not overly good, sometimes that's a good thing, right? And Citadel Landing Zone is definitely one of those that has seen a ton of play in the past, depending on the type of deck, and I think it works really well. So that's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's more than we're allowed to select. So I'm going to have to cut some of those down. Obviously, Salt Flats will drop off that already. But that's kind of where my head space is at for my battlefields. One of my old favorites, of course, was Emperor's Throne Room. I think Emperor's Throne Rooms, especially with how specials have evolved, I think Throne Room is like way too good. I don't think we can do that. So, right, it's not just, again, this isn't just about a Destiny's Greatest Hits album, because there's some of the stuff that you see a lot of play we're not choosing. But again, you're not seeing a lot of the battlefield. I mean, I'm not really proposing very many of the battlefields that never saw play, right? So what I'm mainly looking for, kind of where my headspace is this on, is there a tactical play, is there a tactical back and forth play that the battlefield plays a role in, right? Is it one of those things where you really have to think hard about taking your battlefield versus your opponent's battlefield? And stuff like that is stuff I really appreciate. So anyway, that's my take. Let me know what other battlefields you guys, I could have completely missed stuff when I was looking over. Maybe I forgot about, there's been a lot of great battlefields over the years. But, you know, generally trying to avoid stuff that throws damage on claim and stuff like that, because we've seen those kind of go wonky us on the past. Plus, we have Crate Dragon out right now, which will be out for a long time. So, anyway, let me know what you guys are thinking in the comments below. Let's get this all figured out. All for progress, all for one for all, right? Anyway, go Commando.